Welcome to Crime Corner Investigates. I want to talk about the new issues in the Nancy Guthrie case related to the ransom notes. Are they legitimate or are they fake? I just saw a clip that Harvey Levin is upset because he was told by the FBI that they believed they were real. He contacted the agent that I guess he was in contact with that gave him, that he turned the emails over to, and he said that he believed the notes were real. So let's dive into that. Last night I went live, but it just posted probably an hour ago, analyzing and going over the different scenarios of what happened. Was it a burglary gone wrong? Was it a kidnapping? Or was it something more sinister than that? Or was it related to Savannah's job? So you can look in my Go Live content and see that video where I go dive deep into each scenario of what could have happened. But I think what's important is the ransom notes, because that timeline of the ransom note tells us whether they're possibly fake or whether they're legitimate. So let's talk about that. Apparently, trying to see, ABC News dated July 1st, just the other day, ransom notes in the Nancy Guthrie case still being investigated as legit. FBI says California man admits sending fake ransom notes in the Nancy Guthrie abduction. That's the title of it. It's dated for July 2nd. And in that article, an FBI official speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss an active probe told Reuters on Tuesday that the latest TMZ letter and 2 ransom notes reported by the media in February have since been deemed by investigators as not credible. So I guess that's what Harvey Levin is in an uproar about, because the person he talked to at the FBI says that they think they're real. Now, it's normal for people to disagree during an investigation, but I want to look at the timeline. On February 3rd, which is a Tuesday, TMZ reports ransom note demanding money for Savannah Guthrie's missing mother. And I'm going to put my links when I'm done in this video. TMZ received an unverified ransom note today demanding a substantial amount for the return of Today anchor Savannah Guthrie's missing mother, Nancy. We have since contacted law enforcement, shared on the TMZ's official Instagram account. That's February 3rd. TMZ received the first ransom note. So we know that happened on the 3rd. But Harvey Levin just posted in his video last night that they were all received together at the same time. And that's not true. I have another article. Reuters, July 1st, updated July 2nd. FBI says Nancy Guthrie probe remains kidnapped for ransom despite notes deemed not credible. It was received by KOLD-TV, a CBS affiliate in Tucson, on February 2nd, 2 days after Nancy Guthrie was reported missing. The FBI said in court records and statements, adding it was taking the note seriously, but had yet to conclusively determine its authenticity. So they changed it and then they updated it on the 2nd, and they put the note was received on February 2nd. Then they put 2 days after she was missing. What does that mean? She was last seen on Saturday night, and she went missing in the morning, in the wee hours of the morning that we know of. So I guess 2 days is 2 days. At any rate, the first ransom note was on February 2nd. The second ransom note with TMZ was on February the 3rd. I have documented evidence of it. That makes a big difference because the sheriff's press release was on the 2nd. So the first ransom note could be considered more credible because not a lot of people knew that she was missing, except the kidnappers. Or, as I stated in my video last night, people, friends and family of Nancy Guthrie, law enforcement, or journalists or news reporters that were involved that might have found out on Sunday. They definitely were doing a volunteer search, so volunteers knew about it. So a lot of people knew about it to be posting a ransom note the next day at a local news station. And it may have not had anything to do with Nancy Guthrie being missing. But it's more plausible that that note is authentic because it was the same day. We don't know what time they received the note. The sheriff's press release was at 9 o'clock in the morning, unless anybody has a different time. But like I said, a lot of people, even in the area, knew she was missing because they were searching the area. Okay. Why is Harvey Levin upset that the ransom notes might not be legitimate? Nobody knows if any of them are legitimate, to be honest with you. But why is he twisting the fact that he got the note, his first note, the same day that the other news station did? That makes a big difference in the case. Because the first day that the ransom note came out to the KOLD TV, a CBS affiliate in Tucson, not very many people knew what had happened. And it couldn't have been that quick to produce and hide a ransom note. It had to have been planned on Sunday to do that on Monday. So that ransom note seems more plausible. But as far as I know, the public was not told about the ransom note. Let's see if I have anything about that. Yeah, as far as we know, TMZ, why exclamation point entertainment, February 3rd. I missed the T. February 3rd says TMZ reports ransom note demanding money for Savannah Guthrie's missing mother. I couldn't find an article where TMZ posted it, but this other news station reported it. And it says TMZ received an unverified ransom note today demanding a substantial amount for the return of Today anchor Savannah Guthrie's missing mother, Nancy. We have since contacted law enforcement, read the caption of the post. So I guess it was on Instagram. TMZ is the first person that made it public that there was a ransom note on the 3rd. So we don't know if we don't have the notes to know if they're the same notes, number one. We don't know if notes came after that because TMZ publicly announced that he had a note, which he shouldn't have done that because investigators will decide whether they want to release and what information they want to release about the notes. So that shouldn't have happened. And he's an attorney and he should know that. So I'm surprised he did, but people, he did. Ethically, he shouldn't have done that. That undermined the investigation. And it also brought other bad actors in to, send ransom notes. So here we go with a circus. But anyway, my point is that he's upset because his first ransom note may not be legitimate, or that the FBI is confused about what they're thinking. So, I mean, he just got a personal thought from one FBI agent. But there was a press release. I couldn't find it. But there's a press release from the FBI stating, if I have the link, I'll post it, stating that most of the ransom notes are not legitimate. So let me see if I have it. Yeah, an FBI official speaking on the condition of anonymity, but that wasn't it. They did post it somewhere Tuesday that the latest TMZ letter and 2 ransom notes reported by media in February have, any of TMZ's notes are not credible. An FBI official is what it says, but I think there was a press release about it. I seen it when I was doing research. If I find it, I'll post it in the link. Let's see. But yeah, Harvey Levin claims we received the ransom notes the same day. So we have to look at timelines because it makes a big difference. And why is he claiming he received them on the same day as the other news station? He did not. Just a mistake. This was on TMZ on YouTube. The title is FBI Screwed Up 2 Angry Men, where him and his friend are talking about it. So if it was a burglary gone wrong, they may have devised a plan to do the ransom note and sent it to a news station. They must not be the same ransom notes from the 2nd and from the 3rd. And that's why they're thinking that TMZs are not legitimate. But I still wonder if somebody is trying to change the narrative of this case. And I'll go back to it with somebody planting gloves all around the area that was already searched a few weeks beforehand. 10 days beforehand, I think it was. And how it got political and the sheriff got trashed. I mean, it doesn't matter if he's an asshole or not. There's an investigation going on. It's not going to be good in court when you do that. So reputable news stations should not be doing that. But everything's political now, and it's possible, you get sucked into that. But I still think that somebody planted those gloves trying to change the narrative of where this case was going, or they thought they might get caught. And all I can say is that area was probably being surveilled, had surveillance after she was kidnapped. I know there was a lot of people there. There were podcasters there. There were journalists there. Brian Enton was there. Could somebody have planted those gloves to change the narrative of the case? I don't think it was for political reasons to start trashing the sheriff and make it look like a messed up investigation. I think that's a separate issue. I think somebody planted them in hopes they would be looking in the wrong direction and wasting their time testing these gloves, because the investigation was getting closer. As we already talked about yesterday, we already talked about yesterday that they did license plate readers. They know who was in the area that night on those busy streets around there. There's not many people out at 3:00 in the morning. She had to have left by car, most likely. I want to know what you guys think about that, because how did she leave that house? Out the back in the desert to another house down the street, or on a busy street? That's the issue. So what else do I have? Another link that I have too that I'm going to post is, that's the $1 million question. How did she leave that house? But if you go back to the Idaho murders, how they found Brian Kohlberger, they had video of the same car. Why has nobody on these busy streets and them using license plate readers, haven't they picked up the car? That one Range Rover was arrested or detained. That had to have been from the license plate reader. So they know who was in the area. So somebody hiding something? I don't know. The Harvey Levin thing sounds like he's trashing the FBI, doesn't know what they're doing, or he's all up. I don't know what he's upset about. But certainly trashing the sheriff really undermines the investigation. The gloves all over the place, 16 of them, undermines the investigation. What else? Oh, Kash Patel posting the video of Porch Guy on Twitter before the lead investigator probably even had it. We don't know. He might have had it, but there's never been a press release on it. So it sounds like it was just posted on X video. That could have undermined the investigation. Maybe the lead investigators didn't want that out. They needed time to go over it. And mind you, Kash Patel posted that on Twitter the day after Savannah's plea for help. And within days of searches on the internet, about Savannah's interviews with the Epstein victims. That's when Porch Guy video came out and was posted on Twitter. That was the trending thing that was going around. People thought it was the Epstein. They were posting her Epstein videos. Did somebody plant those Epstein videos all over the place after Nancy Guthrie went missing? Or were people legitimately posting that there was a connection? I don't know, but the strangest thing is no timestamps on the porch. Exactly. And we don't have the actual video. We can't even authenticate that video. We don't have the actual video. It went straight from X to Fox News, and then everybody took it from there. So we don't have the actual video. But we don't know what day. There's no press release about the video. The sheriff only mentions the video one time, something about a discrepancy in dates. But he never authenticates the video. But that's been the talk for months now, is who is this Porch Guy video? What was I going to say? Yeah, no timestamps on the video. So we don't know when that was, if it was days before or any of that. But from the reporting that we were told at the press conference, Nancy Guthrie went missing on Friday night at, was dropped off at 9:45. Are there videos of her being dropped off? I don't know. Is that video missing? Did Porch Guy take the video, the camera, a week beforehand? They still had to remove Nancy that Saturday. That's when her pacemaker shut down. They still had to remove Nancy on Saturday in a vehicle. I don't know if the timestamps were removed or not. Why would Patel or remove the timestamps on the X video, on his X account? That's interesting. But yeah, we can't authenticate the video. And it was very unorthodox for him to post that on X. Same as TMZ. You hand it over to detectives and you let them handle it. There's the poor lead detective in this case must be going crazy. It's turned into a circus. And I don't know. Okay, so I did look at the video with Savannah Guthrie coming home to her hometown. Megyn Kelly was the only one I could find it, and she showed a little clip, the only one of that whole episode with Nancy in it. And Nancy is just sitting at the restaurant. There's no crutches or walkers or anything around her. So she does not look vulnerable at all. And in Megyn Kelly's video, she says that there were searches after that video on how much money Savannah makes and where does Nancy live on Google. Where she got this information, I don't know. But you cannot tell me that Google can't tell you where that came from. So this case should have been solved by now. There's something funny going on if it doesn't get solved real quickly. There's just something shady going on. And there's too many things. I mean, Patel posting it on X, TMZ talking about it, when he shouldn't have. I get all that. But the glove thing, I don't care what everybody thinks that investigators drop those gloves or it's just trash. That's ridiculous. That whole area was searched, ground searched. There's no way there was 16 gloves all over the place and they didn't think that was odd. I just don't believe that. Seems like a higher up level abduction to me. Abduction, yeah. But do you think the ransom notes are legitimate? So do you think it was for money, financial gain, or do you think it was to shut Savannah up, related to maybe more Epstein victim videos? Or do you think that it was just to harm her emotionally? Seems like a higher up abduction. Yeah, I'm told they do that in other countries all the time for financial gain. They abduct people for financial gain in other countries. And Nancy did not look vulnerable. So it's very possible they didn't expect her to die. And it's very possible they didn't realize how old she was. I don't know if it was in the video how old she was. I just saw a little clip at her sitting at the restaurant. And Megyn Kelly said that's the only part that she was seeing. And if you watched any older videos from a few years back, she's standing there and she looks real young. So people might have mixed up thinking her age and her health. Ransom note could be a decoy, just like the glove thing. Yeah. So I don't know if you were on that you heard what I said. Who knew on Sunday what happened? Because the first ransom note was sent to the news station on Monday. I don't know the timing of it. I'm pretty sure the press release from Sheriff Nanos was at 9 in the morning on Monday. So that ransom note had to come right after that. So is it possible somebody is close to the investigation, law enforcement, journalist, somebody's involved in this? Yeah. Yeah. But I think somebody could be involved in it for sure. She never looked at the ransom notes? How do you know that? Did she say that? Because I talked about another scenario being somebody that she worked with that was threatening her, that wanted to threaten her. You just learned that last night, yes. And did you know Savannah? No. Yeah, I just learned that last night. Where did you hear that from? That seems strange. She said, though, regarding the first note, that she thought it was legitimate. She said it with Hoda. I'll have to go back and look at that. She never looked at the ransom. But didn't she say in that interview that she thought they were real? We'll have to look at that video again. I'm going to look at that video again. That's interesting. I think these little tiny details tell us a lot. But, and you know what's interesting is Savannah's brother told her that day on Sunday that he thought it was because of her. Oh, you've got the link. I don't know how to post it on here. Share the screen. edit. What else did I want to talk about? I'll give you the date of it in a timestamp. Oh, I might have that link on my first video. But that's okay. So you're saying that she never seen the notes. That's just bizarre. I would think they would have, maybe they just told her what they said. I still think it's odd. I just think the timing, March 26th, timestamp. What do you think? If you think it was a kidnapping, wait, what did you say? You thought it was a ransom? Wait, seems like a higher abduction. Do you think it was an abduction for ransom? That's what I want to know. Because if it was an abduction for ransom, how come they didn't contact the family? Because they couldn't contact Savannah? Somebody said on a channel they could not contact Savannah because her phone number, her information's probably not published. She probably pays for it not to be on the internet. So that could be why they contacted a news station on Monday morning or Monday sometime. So, but they didn't offer proof of life. So it's possible she died during the abduction. They didn't realize how frail and elderly she was because of how she looked in the video, with Savannah going home to her hometown. Because I just saw the video and she doesn't look vulnerable. She doesn't look elderly. So, oh, what's your channel? The Faithful Sir. Okay. I'll look at it. Yeah, so it could be kidnapping for ransom. Yeah, the burglary gone wrong thing just seems strange. That they didn't take anything, but like I said yesterday, she could have woken up and it freaked everybody out, and she might not have had any valuables in her house. It could have been in a security deposit box. So, and then they changed their mind to a kidnapping. But yeah, I do think so. Could be mob related kidnapping. There's international mob. They do it all the time in other countries. I was reading about it when this case first broke out. And they're well connected, and they're ruthless, and they don't care. They don't care about anybody. So, so she died probably that night. That's why they couldn't offer proof of life. And they couldn't get a hold of Savannah because they couldn't get her number. So they contacted the news station. But what's with all the cover up? It's got to be somebody. But the mob's very connected. Even the international mob, they have their connections, I bet. Yeah, that's my other scenario. Could be to shut Savannah up about talking with the Epstein survivors. And I wonder if there was some stuff planning about that coming up. Oh, that Virginia Guthrie, or however you say her name, that committed suicide, who talked about Prince Andrew. Is it possible that she was hiding somebody more powerful than Prince Andrew that she was afraid of? And that's why she committed suicide, or she didn't even commit suicide? That's what I'm wondering. And so the other victims, if they do know if it's somebody powerful, they're not going to say anything. They're going to be terrified. But yeah, because that was trending before Kash Patel posted the video on Porch Guy. It was trending. I have an article on it that I posted on one of my videos Friday night, that it was a trending thing, the Epstein victims videos from Savannah. So a lot of people thought it was connected. Well, don't you think that's strange that none of these podcasters are going down the Epstein angle? I think that's so strange, because did somebody purposely start trending that on social media, like X and, these other social media accounts, on purpose to confuse people? Or did it have to do with Epstein? That's the whole thing. That timeline is very interesting, but I bet you any money, with crisis management, there was already stuff brewing on both sides of the aisle about the Epstein files. And did Kash Patel want to throw a monkey wrench and shut up the Epstein issues and shut it down? He shut it down because nobody's talking about it. They were all talking about the Porch Guy video. That's all we're talking about. I don't want to talk about the Porch Guy video. We don't know what day that was. He could have been just staking that out weeks ahead of time. He could have just paid. And we don't know if that video is authentic. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure everyone thinks it's authentic. Nobody's saying that it's not, but yeah. But yeah, this was a planned kidnapping and abduction. So that's what the thing is, though, when she left, if it's international mob or even mob in the United States, you will not going to find that body. You're not going to find that body. They could have had something set up right down the street and had her cremated and labeled as a different person at one of those crematory things for funeral homes. That's what the mob would do. They're not going to bury her outside. They're not going to drive her all over, and they're not going to keep her in a house or whatever if they planned on killing her. But if they didn't plan on killing her, and they got their money, if she's still alive, the chances of them being caught are a lot greater. So they could have kidnapped her and killed her right away, period, anyway, because they didn't want to get caught. So that's another scenario. Yeah. Maybe she's just too distraught. Maybe she's just too distraught. She could be just too distraught because she's distraught. But you know what? The Epstein, to shut Savannah up, they shut her up, didn't they? She's not on the news. You think it's a coincidence it had that the Epstein political thing was going on months leading up to this? Could that be so coincidental? And the fact that nobody's talking about it, did somebody scrub everything? I don't know. But the fact that Google can't trace who was looking up Nancy's address and Savannah's amount of money that she made is ridiculous. And that they have no camera footage of any cars driving by on the busy streets around there that night in their time frame. And everyone says, oh, they didn't have cell phones. You think they didn't have cell phones because law enforcement hasn't found them yet. They could have had cell phones, and somebody's involved in law enforcement that is sideswiping this case, interfering in it. I don't know. She's starting a game show. She's done. If they were threatening her, they succeeded. And it could be some powerful people. I thought persons, but it could be a group of people that some of these victims wanted to talk about. I find it very funny that it was Prince Andrew. That's the only main character that we know about. There's some big characters in there. There's got to be. These victims are just terrified. She'll be the in the UK. It's called Wordall. She's not on the news anymore, is she? That's interesting. So do you think it kidnapping for financial gain, or do you think it's kidnapping to threaten her to shut up? Those are the two categories. Because I'm not thinking it's a burglary. That's just people say they don't take the body with them and drive around with it. And a burglar is just a really low level crime. Yeah. Very interesting. But yeah, the international mob, they do all kinds of things like this. And you're looking at other countries that the people in charge of those other countries could be affected by something. They're going to take care of it. They're going to have somebody take care of it. So it's interesting. But yeah, the fact that they haven't found out or traced those emails is just bizarre. That's bizarre too. The Bitcoin thing, it's kind of like laundering money. They transfer it here and there and here and there. And they just confuse law enforcement so they can't find it. But, I don't know. Someone said you can pay to have your email address hidden, but I don't see why they can't trace it to the company that the person paid and then get a warrant and find out where that came from. It just seems really shady. They don't know what's going on. It just seems really shady. Nobody's been arrested. Yeah. What's I'm gonna look at your channel on my phone. You are the Faith Falser Servant. The Faith Falser Servant. 77. The first 48 hours. First 48 hours more in detail day by day. What do you think about that Kayla Daly and Luke Day that were in that Range Rover? She has a burglary record. I looked her up. I can't tell. I couldn't find the transcript from the court hearing. Yeah. Is it possible that they were involved and somebody put a kibosh on that? Because he was detained and then he was let go and then he did an interview. Yeah, what's real shady about that was he had temporary license plates. He just bought a vehicle and he's driving with the guy that works at the dealership. I forget what kind of dealership was that, like a Mercedes-Benz dealership? I mean, because there's a lot of wealthy mobsters buying expensive cars. MG Motors. Yeah. Yeah, I do think something shady about all of that. That's why she was arrested. And if you look at the timeline, What was the date of the Range Rover? Let me look it up. Oh, February 13th. Guess what? The 6th, the 7th, and the 8th was when it was trending about the Epstein files, or the Epstein victims being interviewed by Savannah. Kash Patel posts the video on Porch Guy on the 9th. And then within those couple of days, the news stations, Fox 2 News did a piece trashing the sheriff. He was at a basketball game. They were getting close. But somebody didn't want them close. It doesn't mean it had anything to do with Trump or Kash Patel. They just don't want you to know what it had to do with. It could be some international mobster doing it. They want you to think it's some low life, nothing serious. They don't want, so they could kibosh it either way. But if you think about it, the timing that the sheriff gets trashed, the basketball thing, and then his other issues, and then the Range Rover gets pulled over on the 13th and they get let go. That's just very suspicious. They wanted this Hispanic guy from a restaurant to be arrested, but he didn't get arrested, did he? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was watching everything. I like watching Jennifer Coffendorfer. I watch her channel. I'm trying to think what else I watch, but basically just her channel. Yeah. Day 7. So yeah, that was she went missing on the 1st. So the following weekend, yeah, right off the bat, then he started getting trashed and we started getting changing narratives. But what do you think about the gloves being spewed all over the place? And what do you think about people constantly saying that there was no ground searches? I found a press release. There were helicopters, there were drones, there were sniff dogs, search dogs. There were volunteers that searched that whole area on Sunday and into the night. But but that's all I see is people saying that they need to do, maybe they need to do a search now, but she was kidnapped, but then if she was kidnapped to threaten Savannah, the issue I have with the ransom note on the next day, on Monday, was that a ruse to stop the search because they thought she was alive and they were looking for her in a house. They weren't looking for a dead body at that point. That could have been a ruse too. That's what I thought. The first ransom note could have been a ruse because they were looking. They didn't say she was. They just know she didn't walk off. So they knew she was abducted. But they didn't know it was a kidnapping for ransom until the next day. And it wasn't at the first press release. They just knew that she didn't walk out of her house. Yeah. The second ransom note delivered on day 6 said she was buried with nature. Was that to TMZ or to the other news station? Yeah, we found that out last week. Yeah, we found that out last week, but that was delivered on day 6. All three were from TMZ. Interesting. What channels are you watching? What podcasts are you watching? Oh, what the ransom note said? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think they're hiding some of the parts of the ransom note so the public, because then the public, another person can post another ransom note and piggyback off of it, so they don't want anyone to know. JR investigates and the interview in the interview room. Yeah. Yeah, I don't watch JLR investigates. I think I've seen him a couple of times when he was boots on the ground. Um, is he the one that had the video of the Range Rover, or was around there or something? Um, there's another controversial site too that I like to watch. It Sleuth Intuition. Yeah, in the very beginning when I was trying to figure out who Kayla Daly was, I just find it interesting. Luke Day and Kayla Daly, how their names almost, what kind of name do you want? Let's make up a name for you. Oh, there's another guy too. I can't remember who he was, but he's got a prison record, but he was saying that it's not jail our investigates. He was saying that Kayla Day is associated with sex parties or whatever. That's in line with Epstein. Definitely in line with Epstein. She had a lot of drug charges and burglary charge. Um, so that's really interesting. But they thought Nancy was in that house, didn't they? They went to that house. Yeah, this guy is the other guy. He posts all kinds of stuff, but I was searching, I want to say on the Kayla Day. Let's see if I can find him. He's pretty funny. He's a little rough around the edges, but he's the one that said there's no way he would break into a house and not take anything. He said that just because that's what he was in prison for burglary. He said that's just not going to happen. He goes, even if she died by accident, I'm going to take something. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find him. He wears a hat. I think he's bald. Yeah, I can't find him. And that made a lot of sense. Why didn't they take anything? But maybe she didn't have any valuables in the house. But even a handful of jewelry, she had to have had some jewelry in the house, even a handful of jewelry. What else could she have had? That paintings or pictures, he was saying, like a painting or gold. But yeah, she might not have had anything real valuable, but yeah, they didn't take anything. I think burglary's off the table. Yeah. Yeah, I can't find him. Some Epstein secrets exposed. Miss Connie's take on Connie's Corner. That's somebody that's similar to my name. That's interesting. I must have just searched my video. But yeah, I always thought it had something to do with the Epstein videos, and I always thought it was really weird that none of these channels are talking about it. But the Epstein files, a lot of it was in politics. So if they don't watch any politics, they may not know anything about the fight about the Epstein files, the political arguments about it, because it's not, they don't watch politics. People don't watch politics. But gosh, it was big at the time. I don't know. I'm gonna get some coffee. If you want to stay on, I'll chat with you. Or what time are you going live? Are you going live or are you just posting a video? I'm not sure. I went live last night and it didn't want to post, and then I kind of had to take something. I had to edit it anyway. All right. Well, I gotta find you on here. I googled you, but I didn't. I gotta. There you are. All right. All right. I'll watch some of your videos then. I probably won't post anything till next weekend, but I got mostly everything I wanted off my chest the Friday night and Saturday night. I was just exploding. I've never posted before, but I'm just like, why is nobody talking about this or that? Drives me insane. Okay, so I'll check out your videos. I gotta go. I gotta get some coffee. And if you do it online, I'll be online. I'll chat with you. All right. So anyone else that's watching, I don't know, hit subscribe, hit like. Tell me what you're thinking too. Thank you. Tell me what you're thinking about what we're talking about. The scenarios of what could be actually what had happened. We're gonna narrow it down. We've got to. But all right, talk to you later. Have a great afternoon. Happy 4th of July. See ya.